Okay, right. I didn't do a lot at this point in time, but I did, maybe refine things a little bit more on that side and on the shoulder and stuff. So what I'm going to do now is do some shadows or some shadow areas. Now I have taken some. This is just how crazy the world is. These are both decent colours, reddish black and black red. I've got both of them on the palette, and I don't know which one to use. They're very similar. When you're using a shadow colour for flesh, if you've got some red in the colour, it helps. At the moment, this is still brown and effectively a brown sand and some flesh colour highlights that aren't particularly pinky. Hopefully now he'll start to come alive a little bit more because of these pinker or reddish tones. But again, I'm going to take my base colour and add just a small amount of the shadow colour, and again I'm going to thin it, not to the extent of it being ridiculously thin, but now we can see, compared to those other colours we were using earlier, that is darker. It's not dark in the sense of it being black or anything like that. And here on our dude, I'm just thinking about the zones so areas under the arm are going to get, let me just check, I think that's that. Get this initial shadow. Because of the pinkness in it. I do apologise for this looking quite bright. I don't know if the angle I'm looking at, I might be able to do something about that post editing. We shall see. So in this area of those muscle groups under his rib zone, so anywhere basically looking up you could put a shadow. I can do quite a bit on that area, even right down the hole, because it's still quite relatively thin. I can put it in the lower part of the back. I'm going to put some just going up under that muscle there. The pinkness to it gives it a sense of there being some blood in our chap, but that kind of shows up in your own body when you're looking. Even my hands as I'm painting here, the shadows are where the pinkness is, the wrinkles is where the pinkness is, the highlights themselves aren't pink, so you're kind of going along with that element. I'm going to be block some around on his back there, where his shoulder is coming down, the lower edges of that shoulder, and I wonder if you'll start hearing my stomach rumbling, because this is the afternoon after the night before, and we're approaching dinner time. See how much I can get done before I just have to go and eat. I want to get as much done as possible, and there's going to be some fanning around with this. Yes, so all that's done so far is added a bit of pink tone, or not pink tone, a bit of red darkish flesh, but again it's still got the flesh or the base colour in it. Again, I can't reinforce that enough. That would apply to a uniform or anything you're painting, even if you come with your flesh tone things, or I always mix into the base colour. I'm going to just now add a little bit more to make a bit of a darker area for some more extreme. Again, we're not going really dark. There will be areas where we want this to be darker, but at this point, and I'm still using, in this case, a Winsor & Newton 0, so that's not the, this is bear in mind, this is a small figure in the grand scheme of things. I'm always just checking what's on the brush. Now when you're doing something like this area under his arm, there's areas which are catching the light a little bit, but at the same time they're in the shadow of his arm, so they're not going to be quite as bright as the highlights on the upper shoulder. It's also good to I'm going to put some just in where the hair is meeting, because it's almost, that will create a sort of a shadow in itself. So from there you can see those shadows, and you can see zoom in and see it. Oh no, that's the zoom button. Yeah, we're happy with that. Oh, there we go. Here you go. I'll drop the exposure slightly, so there you can see a little bit more, two different sides of his body. How does that make that other guy look? So similar principle. Could say this guy's got more exposed rib areas, more open for those paint effects. A little bit trickier because of his nature and his position on this chap. But again, same principle applies. If I feel I've gone too far with the shadows, I can always use the base colour. Oh, I'm going to do that again. I can always go back to that base colour in a thin glaze over top and soften those edges and transitions. But there's some quite cool muscle groups in there. Going to go and put this little bit of that down the small of his back. haven't done his leg or anything. This is purely about, principally, his upper portion of his body. Right, I'm going, where are we up to? 10 minutes of this. Hang on a sec, that's a bit of an itchy eye. Right. A colour that's pretty useful. I've got brown black. I don't have a pure black knocking around in these new fangled Gen 3 colours. I'm finding this brown black is really quite good. Not so much for flesh painting here, but for what I'm going to do is just get a bit of that. And what can be handy, because we're, you know, this has been a little bit slapdash, as it were, in the refining or getting it on the flesh. It's sometimes quite good just to go back to a sharp edge again. So this area around his the forearm cuffs, or wrapping around there, just to paint that black back to the undercoat colour again, or the primer colour, and just to see that, how that flesh, when we go back to the sharper edge of that, how it looks, the band on his arm against, while carefully not screwing up the paint you've already done. So if I was doing a military figure and I've just done the face, I might go and just put some paint and sharpen up around his collar, around the neck, just to see how that looks, because when you're defining that flesh area again in a kind of a more tighter area, same with the hair. It's probably fair to say there's a good bit of toing and froing with painting figures and stuff. It's not a case of painting a thing and then ticking a box and saying it's done. One of the nice things about the wet palette generally is you might decide you want to do a little bit more to an area, and because it's on your palette, you can just pick up that paint and go. So let's zoom in again. That. That's too bright. Go back in the other direction. Okay, so and we can't see that. Now, if I could get the camera to stop wobbling, you can see that's the untouched base coat, still a bit of primer showing through, and then our shaded area somewhere in there. Come on, zoom in, focus please. So that is the principle of what I did on the other figure. I'm going to do a little bit more. I'll probably carry on doing this. If I think of anything else I need to add, I'll do another video. But now it will be a case of what we got, using thin base coat to soften any areas I think in the shadow look too harsh, too abrupt, but all the time thinking about where the light's hitting on the top, and where the shadows are, where there's little light getting to. So, but none of it is dark, you know, there's no black in this. It's we are going from there to there, so there's quite a contrast in those colours, but it's never that highlight colour, and it's never that shadow. It's always those plus this, and variations in between, and that's kind of a key things I think to come away with from this. See that shadow on one side of his chest compared to the other, and I'll hopefully bring them all nicely together. So the whole chap is Dothraki veteran. But yeah, hopefully that's explained things, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't. Can't remember all the questions asked last night, but I will try to work out a way we can get those questions in. Yes, I don't want to, what I'll probably do with this guy, as I've taken the other guy much further. Yes, I'll probably carry on painting this guy one half, so that between the time this video gets out and people have seen it, if people have then other questions, I could still do stuff on the second half to illustrate that, if you know what I mean. So get the videos published, questions can be asked, the other side of this guy can be used to demonstrate things if needed before next Thursday. I think we're either going to do face related, we'll have to decide what we're going to do, face related stuff. What I can say is that this guy's face is moulded better than this guy's face, but sometimes you can make things pop. But anyway, getting sidetracked, I'll shut up, I'll finish this, I'll get it edited, back to Malcolm. Malcolm can publish, you can ask questions, you can watch, you can ask questions, we can respond. Thank you for watching. Monster Heroes, good stuff. Cheers.